Alrighty guys, today we're going to be having a look at the Wraith Esports Ace series of mouse pads. This lineup includes 3 surfaces including the Storm, the Serenity and the Sunset, being their speed, balance and control pads respectively. Wraith are an esports brand based in Turkey, and you may know them from other pads like the Wraith Cosmic Glass, which is known to be one of the slowest glass pads on the market right now. The A series focuses on true high-level esports performance for enthusiasts and competitors alike, but how does it stack up to comparable mouse pads on the market? First of all, it's important to explain just how premium these feel. Straight out of the box, these are some of the most incredible feeling pads that I've had the pleasure of using. The pads all come in at a 3.5mm thickness with a pour-on base. The base sticks incredibly well to your desk, about as much as you would expect from a good pour-on implementation. I had no issues with the pads moving around my desk during the several weeks of testing time across all of my units. I'm not quite sure how, but this is the softest feeling execution of a pour-on base I have ever felt, and I don't even necessarily mean the amount of plushness or bounce back when pushing into the surface. The best way to describe these pads is as pliable. They are such a joy to handle, it truly is incredible. The Serenity and Sunset both feel softer in terms of actually putting pressure into the pad compared to the Storm, which has a somewhat more robust feeling, contributing to its faster properties and working well with the tighter weaving to provide a faster gliding experience. All pads are available in both 500x500mm square variants, as well as 480x430mm options, costing 53 and 46 euros respectively, as well as several color options for each surface. In terms of their speed, Wraith have managed to make 3 pads which perfectly cover the speed spectrum, giving 3 incredibly viable options for whichever preference you may have. The Storm, which I have in grey here, has an average friction of 0.237 in my testing, making it very comparable to the Padsmith Genesis Pro and Pulsar Hyperion, 2 pads sitting towards the faster end of balanced, and slightly slower than the Artisan Raiden Mid. The Serenity has an average friction of 0.278, making it approximately 17% slower than the Storm, and more on par with pads such as the PMM S1P, which sits more comfortably on the controlled side of balanced. Finally, the Sunset has an average friction of 0.311, making it another 10% slower than the Serenity, comparable to true control pads such as the Kurosun Shogun, but a bit faster than the Artisan Type 99. In terms of performance profiles, the Serenity was definitely the most unique for me when compared to other high-performance pads. Its speed is considerably more controlled than a true balance pad like the Artisan Zero, but not quite slow enough for me to consider it a true control pad. When comparing the Storm to other speed surfaces such as the Genesis or Raiden, you can clearly see the unique weave structure utilized here, with a slightly less uniform weave across the X-axis, utilizing smaller fibers along the Y-axis to form the tight weave pattern. Ironically, this gives it quite a uniform XY axis feeling, with less than 0.5% in difference between the two. The Serenity somewhat resembles an Artisan Zero, though there is still a considerable difference. The fibers are thicker and more tightly packed, without having the clearly differentiable X and Y fibers which are seen on both the Artisan Zero and the Storm. The fibers are very neat and consistent, which is represented in the pad's performance. Finally, the Sunset has more erratic stitching than the Serenity, with thinner fibers and larger gaps. This is what creates the high friction and is similar to the construction of pads such as the Ghost Glide's Mecha, but very different from more neatly packed control pads such as the Type 99, Shogun or C1P, which achieve even more control. One downside that comes with this approach is that the Sunset is quite prone to looking dirty with time, with hairs and dust getting stuck in the weave quite easily. If you do go for this pad, I would recommend not going for the black colorway unless you don't mind this too much. I tested all of my pads with both full-sized and dot skates, both of which performed very well. The usual issue of bottoming out did occur on these pads due to their soft bases when only using 4 dots, though as usual adding more dots helped alleviate this issue, with the Storm not struggling with this just as much as the other two. Personally, the already slow Sunset did turn a little muddy at times, making it less enjoyable to play on when using slower full-size skates such as the stock skates on the WL Mouse Strider, which is something I don't personally prefer, but if it is something you're looking for, then absolutely the A series has you covered. If you don't frequently switch between mice, I would definitely recommend picking up some aftermarket full-size skates for the best experience on the A series, especially the Serenity and the Sunset. I really enjoyed the X-Ray Pad Jade Air full-size skates on my Vaxian and Jutsu collab during testing, as well as the stock skates on the Lamzu Inca. Overall, Wraith have done an incredible job of introducing themselves to the premium esports mousepad market. It is difficult to bring out surfaces these days which perform at this level while not being direct clones of other more popular pads. The softness of the base as well as their different approach to surfaces allow the Ace series of pads to offer incredible value for the performance oriented of us. Besides the small concerns when it comes to cleaning of the pads, I truly cannot recommend any of the Ace series pads from Wraith enough. My personal favorite was the Serenity, as it allowed me to customize my aiming experience the most by changing the skates with which I was using it, while the Storm was my second most utilized due to its better compatibility with dot skates. The Sunset was by no means unenjoyable, but was simply too slow for me in the majority of my use cases, although it was an absolute dream on micro adjustment based tasks in Kovacs. Unfortunately, I do feel as though there are just too many other control pads that manage to achieve the same level of micro control without adding too much muddy feeling, such as the Shogun or to a lesser extent the Artisan Type 99. I want to say a massive thank you to Wraith for sending me these pads for review. Everything said during this review are my own words and are my own opinions. There will be a link in the description of the video for you to pick up the Wraith Esports Ace series pads from Max Gaming. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please like, subscribe, and let me know down below which of these pads you're most interested in picking up yourself. I look forward to seeing you all next time. Goodbye.